Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be testing out some of my legendary gems. Let's go. So I lied, and we're not going to be testing out gems, but we are going to be talking about legendary gems today because I had a few people ask me to make a video on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through the legendary gems that I would personally use for wizard, and I'll make a separate video of gems that are lower quality that you could use for your wizard as well. Generally I go for all 2-star and 5-star gems, and I'm going to talk through the ones that I use and what I would use if I didn't have these. So one gem that is a must-have for all classes is Blood-Soaked Jade. So if this increases all damage you deal by up to 17% while at full life, with a minimum bonus of 8.5% while at low life. Increases your movement speed by 10%, additionally takes 6% decreased damage while below 50% life, and increases chance to find magic items by 15%. Damage is increased by 20.5% at the next rank. So currently my Blood-Soaked Jade is rank 7, and you can see it's also a 5-star quality one, and I'll continue a progressive upgrade on that. Next up we have Starfire Shards. So when you deal damage, you have a 30% chance to rain meteorites in an area that knock back enemies, dealing 360% base damage plus 2026 in total. Cannot occur more than once every 20 seconds. The meteorites also scorch the ground for 2 seconds, burning enemies in the area and dealing 20% base damage every second. So Starfire Shard, you can see I've got this at rank 6, and it is a 5-star quality as well. I highly recommend this gem again for any class. It is one of the best 5-star gems. Amazing in PvP, works really nicely in open world as well, because this will trigger on enemies that are not actually necessarily near to you, and it's just a really powerful gem. It gives a lot of damage, as you can see. So I really like Starfire Shard. Next up we have Roiling Consequence. So dealing damage sends you into a roiling rage for 6 seconds, during which your critical hit chance is increased by 24%, and critical hits cause a fiery explosion that burns nearby enemies for 36% base damage over 3 seconds. Explosions cannot occur more than once every 1 second. Roiling Rage cannot trigger more than often than every 20 seconds, and your critical hit chance against burning enemies is increased by 6%. So Roiling Consequence, this is the gem that is giving me just so much frustration at the moment because I can't find a 4-star quality one, but it's a really powerful gem for having that critical hit chance, and again I really recommend that one. Next up I use Pain Clasp. So this increases damage dealt by 24% to enemies suffering from continuous damage effect. When an enemy suffering from continuous damage is within 10 yards, your movement speed is also increased by 6%. So this works really nice with damage over time gems like Seeping Bile or Viper's Bite, or any burn effect that you have on your enemies. So basically if you have skills or damage over time that is burn, bleed or poison, Pain Clasp is a really good gem to be using, so I really recommend that one. And the nice thing with Pain Clasp is that you can use it for free to play, or if you're someone that spends on the game. Next up we have Seeping Bile. So your attacks have a 4% chance to poison enemies, inflicting 35% base damage plus 263 every second for 6 seconds, and decreasing movement speed by 12%. The poison spreads to nearby enemies if the victim dies, and cannot affect the same target more often than once every 20 seconds. The damage is increased to 45% at the next rank, and that is what I'm working on. You can see I've got a progressive upgrade on the Seeping Bile there. Bottled Hope. So when you use a skill to grant a buff, increase the damage and movement speed of the target by 17% for 6 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds per target. Skill cooldowns decreased by 3%, and the cooldown increases or decreases more with the next upgrade. Now Bottled Hope is another gem that I would recommend for any class. Pretty much everyone uses some kind of buff skill in their build, and it's just a really nice gem for that movement speed and obviously attack as well. So I do really like Bottled Hope, and at first it was a gem that I wasn't going to use, but actually I'm quite glad that I have this in my build now, and I do find it really beneficial to use that one. Next up we have Gloom Cask. So this one, your primary attack unleashes an aspect of gloom for 6 seconds, during which time your primary attacks will trigger gloom blades that deal 42% base damage plus 275. Enemies hit by gloom blades take 12% increased damage from your primary attacks for 3 seconds. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. Now Gloom Cask I really like. This is a really nice gem for range classes, so Demon Hunter and Wizard especially, that works nicely for. And last up we have Mother's Lament. So when you deal damage, you have a 20% chance of gaining Maternal Disdain, increasing your critical hit chance by 32% for 6 seconds. Cannot occur more than once every 20 seconds. Maternal Disdain ends, you release a blood spike towards your enemy, and that deals 54% base damage. Now, I like to use Mother's Lament and Roiling Consequence because then you have more critical hit chance from the both of them. So next up, we're going to take a little look at the market, and I'll talk you through some other gems that I would recommend. Now, this video is definitely more for mid-spenders or pay-to-win players. These are the gems that I would recommend if you're someone that is spending in games. So even if you're just spending on things like Boon of Plenty and Battle Pass, these are definitely the gems that I'd recommend. So one that I would pick would be Void Spark. So dealing damage conjures a Void Spark for 6 seconds. While the Void Spark is active, dealing damage has a 30% chance to unleash lightning that chains up to 8 enemies, dealing 45% base damage plus 446 to each enemy. Lightning strikes can only trigger once every 1 second. Conjuring Void Spark can only occur once every 20 seconds. And you can see it does actually increase your attack speed there as well at rank 3. So Void Spark is really nice in PvP, but also works in open world farming. But I would really recommend that gem. If I had space for it, I would definitely be using it. Another one that I would recommend for PvP is More of the Deep. Now, if you've been hit by this in Battleground, you'll know exactly why I'm recommending it. But this basically it like releases a whirlpool and sucks enemies to the center of that, and then you obviously get that giant fish pop out. And More of the Deep, I find that I can't actually dash away from like some of the other gem effects. I don't know if that's just me, but More of the Deep is really powerful in PvP, so I definitely recommend that one. And you can see obviously there's the sea monster also destroys enemy armor for 6 seconds at the next rank 3. Another one that I like for PvP is Storm Vault. So dealing damage conjures a storm at the enemy's location that pursues enemies for 6 seconds, continually dealing 22.5% base damage plus 203 every 0.5 seconds to all nearby enemies. Cannot occur more often than once every 20 seconds. Storm also unleashes lightning, dealing 6% base damage per second, and that's at rank 3. This is another one that's really good in PvP, and again for any class. So Storm Vault, Void Spark and More of the Deep, they're choices that I would make, but I would recommend them for any class. And you can see Storm Vault is actually pretty cheap as well, so even if you're not a huge spender, you can kind of buy that. I mean, there's a rank 3 on our market going up for like 20k platinum. That is insane. So that is a fairly easy gem to upgrade, whereas some of the others obviously cost a lot more. Frozen Heart is potentially a good gem. This one, when you take damage, you activate a Frigid Shield for 6 seconds that chills enemy attackers and absorbs damage equal to 150% of your base damage plus 1458. And this also at rank 3, Frigid Shield grants your attacks a 15% chance to chill enemies. Now, I've been hit by that in PvP as well, so I'd recommend it for that. It's not the strongest gem, but it's definitely one that I would recommend. Viper's Bite is another really great gem, whether you're free to play or a mid-spender. So damaging enemies poisons them with Viper's Venom. This one is kind of just as powerful as Sleeping Bile, I'd say. The only reason I've swapped mine out is because I'm on that 4k resonance journey right now. Bloody Reach is another good one for Wizard. Increases damage you deal by 2% for every 2 yards between you and the enemy hit, up to a maximum of 8% at 8 yards. And your attacks have a 0.3% chance to decrease enemy movement speed by 35% for 3 seconds. That unlocks at rank 3. But I did use Bloody Reach previously, and if you are using attacks and builds that are definitely ranged, that is one I'd recommend. Now, lastly, Grim Rhythm. If you are someone that buys Battle Pass and Boon of Plenty, I would highly recommend this because this increases your attack speed. Now, I would say that Wizard's disadvantage compared to Demon Hunter, for example, is the primary attack speed. And using Grim Rhythm fully maxed out at rank 10 would actually really help. So that is what I'm going to be working on. I don't know which gem I'll swap it out for yet, but I think I will find that really beneficial. However, I do still need 40 copies of that in total. So that is it from me today. As I said, I'll make a second part of this video for low spenders or free to play. But for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.